Hey everybody, this is Jason here from Two Sides of Phi, and I am here to talk about day 3 of my Camino Portugés here, one of the many Camino de Santiago routes. And if this is the first video of mine you've seen, you might want to go back to the playlist, Jason on the Camino Portugés, or simply go to twosidesofphi.com/Camino, and you'll get all of the previous days. So day 3 was meant to be a shorter day, and that was for a few reasons, but it ended up being a little different than what I thought it was going to be. So I was starting in the town of Pedra Furada, where I was staying at a Donativo albergue yesterday evening, and I was going to continue on to the city of Barcelos. And in fact, that's what I did. So let's talk about that. Where we left off, I was at this little hostel last night, very new place, and it was a really well appointed, and I slept wonderfully. 7 hours, my new record on the Camino, which is not so bad given that I am 8 hours out of my normal time zone in California. As I mentioned, there were 2 other people staying in the albergue, another American, who I'll call Chris, and then a German woman, Britta. And this morning, I saw both of them, and then Chris got on his way fairly quickly. He's nearing the end of his Camino. He's going in the reverse direction, while Britta was still there when I was getting ready. And before I set out this morning, I saw her. She had already gotten ready. I was not ready yet. Sorry for that loud noise. I'm pretty near the city center. And she asked if I might not mind walking with her today. And that sounded like a good idea. I knew the forecast was really bad. There's a ton of rain. I think we were supposed to get 1.5 inches of rain. Sorry I didn't convert that to centimeters. But having some conversation seemed a really good idea. And so we set out around 9 a.m. this morning. Not too early and not too late. And there was light rain at first, and this was okay. We went and got some coffee and a pastry for breakfast. Actually, I got 2 today to make sure I didn't run out of steam before lunch, which happened the last 2 days because the days went way longer than I thought, and I couldn't find anywhere good to stop for a bite until 2 p.m. or later. Anyhow, we got on our way, and then the rain really started to come down, which was not ideal, but expected, and we had ponchos, so things were okay, barring the fact that, well, on at least part of the route, trucks and cars were driving by, and one very large truck happened to throw a sheet of water on me, which got the bottom of my pants all wet, which is okay, and then completely soaked my shoes, which is far from ideal. It doesn't matter how much merino wool and liners you have. I have both. I was soaked. But the walk was not that long. We only got off track once. And that wasn't so bad. We realized it right away and got right back on the route. Now that we are on the central route, as opposed to the route on the shore, the literal way that I started with, things are marked much better, so it's quite easy to find your way. We made our way to Barcelos via Barcelos, and the walk was easy. And we got into town and decided we would, just have a quick look around. It was still raining, but after looking at one of the area churches, taking a few pictures, we decided to find lunch, which we did, and that was great. Had some local fish once again, and had a nice conversation, and then we went our separate ways. And for the remainder of the day, I've just been hanging out, checking out the city, getting some dinner, just keeping it pretty low-key and trying to dry out all of my things. So that's the practical side. Let's talk about the personal side. The biggest change for today, day 3 versus days 1 and 2, is for the entire time I walked, which was also, again, the shortest day I've walked at only 8 miles today. It was the first time I stayed with somebody the entire time. We talked, I would say 90% of the way. Both of us were striking up conversation, and that was, really nice because, frankly, the day could have been very long with all the rain, and just learning about each other's lives, knowing that we had similar interests, more on that in a second, really was engaging and kept things, kind of going at a nice pace. And it strikes me as this is just another one of those situations where you have something in common, and it's something important enough in common that it just kind of breaks down barriers and lets conversation flow. And that's how I felt. We're both walking the Camino for different reasons, of course. We're at different ages in life. We're from different countries, but this commonality is enough that conversation seems to come pretty naturally. And this is very much what I found the last couple days as well. So that was a big part of today, and all of that was positive. Now, on the negative side, I definitely didn't take as much time, nearly as much time today as the last 2 days, to contemplate, to kind of let my mind wander, do that sort of walking meditation that I personally get a lot out of. It's one of the reasons I'm doing the Camino. I've had such good results with that kind of walking meditation on 1, 2, or 3 day walks. And this is meant to be a much bigger experience. And so while I wouldn't trade that conversation I had today away, I think it was important to, one, from a practical sense, just keep the day moving quickly. But also personally, it was just nice to share with another human and then know that we were going our separate ways. Maybe we see each other again on the Camino, maybe we don't. That's just kind of what's going to happen with the universe those days. But I am looking forward to tomorrow having time to think, and particularly in the morning, it tends to be my best time to just kind of think about where I am in the moment, contemplate that now that I wrote about yesterday on the blog. And if you need that link again, twosidesofphi.com/Camino, you'll see what I'm writing as well as these video updates. So consider subscribing and keeping abreast. So I would like to dig a little deeper tomorrow when I walk on some of the things I've been thinking about lately, on my own sort of personal wellness journey that I've been really engaged in over the last year, certainly 2024 to date in particular, thinking about my place in the world, how I approach it, all of these things that we build up around our psyche, which we call the ego, how we interact with other people and how we wish to be viewed, and the defenses that we raise sometimes, and just how we carry ourselves. This focus on the present, being mindful, I think personally for me has been a huge benefit, even though I consider my place on that journey very early. It's something I found myself naturally wandering towards yesterday, and very candidly, I would like to go back there again. And so I'm going to spend some time this evening now that I'm back in my room after dinner. Yes, these lovely curtains. I'm staying in private housing tonight, although certainly very much a budget accommodation, just €30. And for me, that was well worth it to have some dry clothes and a nice hot shower and privacy. But what I'm going to do once I wrap up this video is spend some time just kind of jotting down a few notes. I came up with a few concepts while I walked yesterday. I'm not ready to share those in detail yet. I'd like to give myself a little more time to think on them. I think that would be much more informative. But I think by preceding my brain thinking about these things a little, I'm going to set out tomorrow with more of a concrete idea of some of the things that I'd like to think about. Now, our brains work the way they do. There's no guarantee that tomorrow as I'm trudging down that road that I will want to think about those things. And in fact, I may be inspired by something else completely. But I think, as I have said from the beginning of this journey, my concept is just being open to the experience, right? Maintaining openness, seeing what arrives, seeing what passes, into my brain and exits again versus what kind of sticks around and takes, rest there. I'm looking forward to seeing what that's like. I'm hopeful that the pretty wicked looking forecast for the next few days proves to be a little bit of an overestimate of the poor quality of weather we're going to have, but who knows? I think if memory serves me right, I should check my notes that I have around 12 miles to do tomorrow, maybe 14. It's not more than that, so that's going to be fine. I am headed to a very famous private albergue. There's just 10 beds. It's not some big thing, but it's well known for the family type environment. They do a family meal, and I'm looking forward to that, and I'm sure I'm going to be interested to share that experience with you because I suspect this evening is going to be one of the highlights in terms of lodging that I stay in, staying at the very famous Casa Fernanda. Well, at least famous among people who hike the Camino Portugés. I don't suspect most people would have ever heard of it. But anyhow, I'll be in Barcelos to start tomorrow, and then I will head out, and I'll tell you all about that on the practical aspects tomorrow. But I'd be remiss if I didn't spend at least a moment right now really just saying thank you. Thanks to all those among my family and friends who have supported me both before my Camino and during my Camino, sending me nice little notes and things, as well as the people who have been following my blog and sending in comments, those who found me on YouTube and they've been, again, sending kind words and expressing their own interest in the Camino and talking about watching this as a way to really understand what that experience has been like or will be like for me as we go. But above all, the biggest thanks goes to my immediate family, my wife, and my son. They've been incredibly supportive. This is not the ideal time for me to be away, and yet I'm here. And it's with their love and support that I know I always have carrying with me as I walk on this journey. Not to say I don't have the love and affection of others in my family. I certainly do, and they've made it known. But I just really feel like it's important to call out their sacrifice in me being away, the family unit not being at its normal wholeness at this time. I do miss them very much, and I am very hopeful to make a trip like this or even longer. The Camino Francés is of key interest that I'd like to walk with my wife in the future. So I am enjoying the alone aspect when it comes to walking, because my mind is just has the time to have the thoughts that we don't have when we're talking. Perfect example today when that didn't happen. And I know that if I were walking with a good friend the entire Camino, as many people do, or I was walking with somebody close to me like my wife, that will be a different experience. It'll be wonderful in its own way, but it's not this. And I remain very eager to see what the Camino and my own brain and my own view on the world, how those two things come together and what I experience. I don't mean this to sound like some sort of new age approach, but rather it's just an extension of the mindfulness that I've been trying to practice, which is, to be candid, the antithesis of how I carried out much of my adult life. Being overly anxious, overanalyzing situations, trying to over-prepare, just kind of building up this image of an ideal of trying to be perfect and always be, ready for anything that comes. And quite the opposite now. I'm just trying to be open to whatever comes, not trying to really prepare. I think barring the physical preparation that everyone must do for a Camino or any kind of long journey like this, and please do that preparation. Don't just drop in with brand new shoes and a new pack you've never worn. Every piece of practical advice on the Camino would guide you against that. You don't need to hear it from me. But mentally, I don't think you can prepare for this kind of journey. But being open to receive what comes sounds pretty great to me. So I look forward to tomorrow. Today was a simpler day in many respects, but it's also going to be more of a rejuvenating day for me. I'm in early. I had no reason to be out tonight and bearing this weather, so I'm just going to relax. I'm going to think about tomorrow, and once again, thank you for being here with me. Anyone who's watching, I treasure your input, and I thank you for your support. And whatever you do today and tomorrow, I hope that it brings you joy. And once again, take care of yourselves, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks, everybody. Jason out.